Welcome to the Companion Chapel Everyday Bible Study broadcast. My name is Mike, coming to you from the Great Lakes area of beautiful Ontario, Canada, on this gorgeous Friday, February 14th, 2025. Coming right up, it is the book of Samuel. That's 2 Samuel chapter 14. Don't you dare miss it. That's your cue. You know what to do. Open your Bibles to 2 Samuel chapter 14. And while you're doing that, please first consider your part in the many-member body of Christ. Help glorify, magnify, and broadcast the message of Christ's love out to a hurting world through this registered nonprofit ministry, which simply means all provisions provided go to God's purposes. So you got $500, you got $1 million, whatever you can give. Set it up for God. Let's do this. Chapter 14. Go to 2 Samuel. Go to Companion Chapel to companionchapel.com and email me at companionchapel@gmail.com. And here we go, 2 Samuel chapter 14. So in chapter 13, we see that Jonadab, or the King David, is who we're talking about, took news before it was time. So he's on edge here. And the soul of David longed forth unto Absalom. He was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing that he was dead. Okay, so all this is happening. Now Joab, this is verse 1 of 2 Samuel chapter 14. Now Joab the son of Zerah perceived that the king's heart was towards Absalom. That's the general, Joab, David's nephew. Joab's sizing up David for his exploits. God blessed David with excess. We know this. Luxuries, excess. And David gets out of bed late recently in chapter 11, verse 2. And he's tripping around like his place is the Playboy Mansion. Here's the situation. And Joab sent to Tekoa, which means a fat sheep's tail, sent to Tekoa and fetched thee a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead. Okay, so he's got a good actress here. And come to the king and speak on this manner. So Joab put the words in her mouth. Okay, so this is all set up. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground and did obstinance and said, King, oh help me, king. I got to the top. Let's see what happens. She's caking it on. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee, woman? And David is standing there in his Hugh Hefner smoking jacket, and she answered him, I indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. And the handmaid had 2 sons, and they strove together in the field, and there was none to part them. But one smote the other and slew him. Oh, now it's just her and her fugitive kid. Okay, can we see where this is going? Okay, I'll give you clues. And behold, the whole house, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him for the life of his brother, who he had slew. For we will destroy the heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave me my husband, neither his name a remainder on the earth. Okay, they want to run and kill this kid who is on the run. They want to stop this family apostasy. Okay, the actress is getting up King David for what happened to her 2 sons. Job has won over David here, because Job is just trying to see, okay, how far has David gone? Okay, so just cut Job some slack here. And the king said unto the woman, Go to the house, and I will give charge concerning thee. David is like, okay, man, I need a minute to think about this. And the woman of Tekoa said unto King David, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me, and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. Well, the woman is like, I respect any decision you make, king. And the king said, this is King David, Whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, that he shall not touch thee any more. This is some heavy protection here. Okay, now she's protected. She's like an actress here, okay? She's worked her way in. Now she's got some protection from David. And remember, a king's oath is a big deal. It's a big deal. So let's just leave that at that. A big deal that you can't go back on. Then she said, I pray thee, Let the king would remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revenges of blood to destroy any more, lest they should destroy my son. She's dropping God's name here. Big deal. This is big. And he said, here's King David, and as the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy son fall to the earth. That's the king's oath. Hey, this reverts to Absalom via Job's conniving. But anyways, let's just leave this at that. Okay. Then the woman said, let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word on my lord the king. And he said, say on. And when the woman said, wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, and that the king doth not fetch his home against is banished. Ooh, she's dropping Absalom's name. For we must needs die, and are as water spit on the ground, which cannot be gathered up. Neither doth God respect any person, yet doth he devise means, and his banishment be not expelled from him. Okay, this is a big deal. This is scripted from Job to David, and we know what's going on here. All right, what's going on? We see this happening. Now, therefore, that I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And the handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king, and it shall be the king which will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. There, it's all out in the open now. Remember that Job has a lot of love for David, and Job has been David's army general for around 40 years, and he requires a disciplined purpose king to fight for. Job sees David is going soft, and David's household is an embarrassment to Job. Now our Lord Jesus Christ's house will never compromise, negotiate, or make concessions with evil. Job would have put up with a bunch of spoiled, undisciplined brats. He would not. No, he would not have put up with a bunch of unspoiled, disciplined brats, is what's being said here. Then thy handmaid said, the word of the Lord. Then thy handmaid said, the word of the Lord, the word of my Lord, the king shall be comfortable, for as the angel of God, so is my Lord, the king to discern good and bad. For the Lord hath gone with thee, and will be with thee. It isn't saying, do you know right from wrong? That's all she's saying. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I tell thee, I ask of thee. And the woman said, let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, is not the hand of Job with thee in all this? Is not the hand of Job with thee? And the woman answered and said, as thy soul liveth, my lord the king, as my soul liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that the Lord king has spoken. For the Lord's servant Jovid, for thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in my mouth of thy handmaid. To fetch about this form of speech hath thy servant Job done this thing. And my Lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all these things are in the earth. Job would be sweating bullets right now, but just hang on. Just hold on. And the king said unto Job, behold, now I have done this thing. Go therefore and bring the young man Absalom again. Job rushed to go get Absalom. That's all there is to it. This is what Job wanted. He said, listen, you dropped the ball when you knew that this Amnon guy was a rape hound. You dropped it. You didn't do nothing about it. You just kind of said, okay, if we can keep this on the hush. Well, this Absalom had this, we're just going to say this right now. He had this girl was his daughter, and it wasn't his daughter. Okay, in verse 27 here of 2 Samuel 14, it said that he was his daughter, and he wasn't his daughter. He was his, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. Tight is what it says in the Hebrew manuscripts. Okay. And Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. Okay, here we go. We're bringing this guy home. And the king said, let him turn to his own house and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his house and saw not the king's face. Okay, this is what's happening here. But in all Israel there was none to be much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in this guy. He was a good-looking kid. Okay, now this is one of David's children. But in all, okay, to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. And when he pulled his head, that's when he got his hair cut, for it was at every year's end that he pulled it, because the hair was heavy on him. Therefore he pulled it. He got his hair cut, and he weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. And Absalom, there were born 3 sons, 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of fair countenance. Okay, just remember that verse, okay? I have it highlighted here so that you'll remember this is what Absalom does. This is how he trips around. And it's all good. These are his brothers and sisters. They're not his sons and daughters, okay? And sons and daughters is much different in the Hebrew than it is in these original language manuscripts. Okay, verse 28. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. What an insult to Absalom. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have him sent to the king, but he would not come to him. And he did it a second time. He wouldn't do it. Therefore he said unto his servants, see Joab's field near mine, and he hath barley there. Go set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. And Joab arose and came to Absalom unto his house, and said unto him, wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? Why did this happen? Where is this? And Absalom answered Joab, wherefore have they set my field on fire? Absalom answered Joab, behold, I sent unto thee, saying, come hither that I may send thee the king, and to say, wherefore have I come from Geshur? Has it been good for me to have been here still? Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. Okay, forgive me or kill me, one of the two. Okay, that's all that's being said here. And let's go to verse 33 here. And Joab came to the king and told him, and when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king. He bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. This is not good enough. Okay, this is a sticky situation. Absalom waited 2 years. He's trying to protect his sister. A long time has happened now. 5 years. And this is not good enough for Absalom. He sees David is gone so far in his leisure shoot, and is like, do you want to play a little game, Daddy? I'll play a little game with you. We're going to play the game called Sovereignty. Let's see how this works out for you. David, verse 15, or chapter 15 of 2 Samuel. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, of what city art thou? And he said, thy servant is from one of the tribes of Israel. This is treason. It's kind of a treasonous little thing that he's doing here. He's not happy. Absalom made a big show and a big parade. And now this is in the gate of judgment circle. Absalom's playing the king, giving judgment to please people, to score points with the masses, trying to make a name for himself. He's already got a huge name. Okay, so this is what's going on here. Like, Absalom finds another weakness in the way David is running the kingdom. He exploits it. Satan's way to find your weakness and forever rub your face in it is what's happening here. This is Satan. He's the adversary. He's the accuser. Just keep that in mind. And Absalom said unto him, see, thy matters, that's the plea or suit, are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. Like, David's not running the show here, I'm running it. So he's just trying to inch himself in. And he's doing a really good job. Absalom said, moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause may come unto me, and I will do him justice. And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obstinance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to judgment. He's just campaigning here to be a new judge. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. Like Satan is turning on us right now. You can see it. Remember the prophecy through Nathan in chapter 12. Satan is working through Absalom, as David was always a fair judge, even judging the Philistines. But let's just watch this. Okay. He was a fair judge, and then he just made his own mistakes, and then he always repented. But let's just see. Remember, I got a phone call the other day, and this person said, well, why can't I have like 2 husbands if these people can have 2 wives? Or, can't you have 2 wives, 6, 8 wives, 10 wives? No, man. Rightly divide the word. We're not kings. So anyways, just put that at that. And it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. Okay, said this to the king. Absalom doesn't seem to have anything to do with Yahweh. But anyways, let's just see. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode in Geshur in Syria, saying, if the Lord shall bring me again into Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. It's a questionable vow. Is he really saying it to the God? And the king said unto him, go in peace. So he arose and split. He went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. There's your news story. Absalom splitting the 12 tribes again. He's going to keep all of them except Judah and whoever's hanging around Judah. And who gets Judah? Bathsheba, or whatever his name was. Anyways, and with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went into this simplicity, and they knew not anything. Okay, so just incognito is all that's being said here. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel. This guy, whose name means foolishness, the Gileonite, was David's counselor from the city, even from Gilgal. Well, he offered sacrifices, and the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. So Ahithophel left David, and this is what it means. It means, okay, this guy's name literally means following a brother of foolishness, and it knows people will do that. They're going to follow the fool. And there's a little bit more here, because Ahithophel was Bathsheba's granddaddy. Absalom has this pay to sin for David's sin. Okay, that's how he's going to do it. Okay, so Ahithophel left David. So here you have Absalom and Ahithophel, and they both have Bathsheba. Was a granddad to Bathsheba. And there came a messenger to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him in Jerusalem, arise, let us flee, for we shall not escape from Absalom. Make speed and depart, let us overtake us suddenly, and bring this evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. David's on the road again. And I forget who said this would happen, but it's happening. And the king's servants said unto the king, behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever the Lord the king shall appoint us. And the king went forth, all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. Isn't this just crazy? And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Cherethites and Pelethites and the Gittites, which were what do you call it when you hire someone to protect you? Anyways, those guys, 600 men, which were of the Philistines, came after him from Gath and passed on before the king. Then said the king to Attai the Gittite, wherefore goest also with us? Return to thy place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger, and also in exile. You guys are Palestinians, man. Okay? David, you're not one of us, you're a mercenary. Okay, that's what he's saying here. but they're loyal to David because they're following him. Whereas thou camest but yesterday, should I this day make thee go up and down with us? Seeing I will go whither I may, return thou and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth be with thee. And Ittai answered the king and said, As the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there will also be thy servant. There's a huge loyalty in verse 21. David is a Christ type and shows the Gentiles and the strangers will be with him. Okay, this is what the Christ type is. The Christ type is this. You're gonna govern yourself back to the kingdom of heaven by adopting yourself back into God's family, Israel. Israel means God's family, Israel. Not all Israelites are of Israel. That's what it says in the book of Romans. Okay, then you adopt yourself back into God's family, Israel. It doesn't matter what you speak, the language you speak, the color of your skin, the race of your whoever you are. It no matter. God knows what's in your heart. That's what matters. So we're not talking about a Hebrew, because that would mean you speak Hebrew. We're not talking about an Israeli. We're not talking about or anything along that line. We're talking about Israel. You adopt yourself back into God's family, Israel. Did I mess that up? We're not talking about any of the other things that I almost just said. Anyways, okay, you're gonna be loyalty there. And David said to Ittai, Go and pass over. And Ittai the Gittite passed over. All of his men and the little ones that were with him, and all the country wept with a loud voice. And all the people passed over. The king also passed over and took the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over. And toward the way of the wilderness, puts them into the Mount of Olives area. And lo, Zadok and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God, and they set down the ark of God. And Abiathar went up until all the people had done passing out of the city. Okay, there's a lot of movement of large amounts of people going on. And the king said unto Zadok, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in thy eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me it both and his habitation. Okay, this David believes in God. There's no doubt about it. But if he thus, I have no delight in this guy. Behold, here I am. Let him do to me as it seemeth good unto him. The king said also unto Zadok the priest, Are thou not a seer? Okay, listen, Zadok. Now there's a deeper message here. Return into the city in peace. You and your 2 sons with you, Amaz and Jonathan, the son of Abiathar. Okay, you guys are seers. And David is planting 2 spies here. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until come the word of one of you to certify me. What's going on with me? Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up from the ascent of Mount Olive, and wept until he went up, and had his head covered, and went barefoot, and all the people that was with him covered up every head of all their heads, and they went up, weeping as they went. David's weeping because of his sin. David's weeping because he didn't crank it on Ammon and say, Yo, that's what's in your heart? You fooled me. And now all this is coming back on David. Can you see the human frailty here? He didn't do anything for his daughter. And one told David, saying, Antipotho is among the conspirators with Absalom. There you have it. Antipotho has turned against you. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Antipotho into foolishness. Yeah, Bathsheba's granddad. Okay, turn it into foolishness. Okay, and it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount, where he worshipped God, behold, Hushi, the Archite, came to meet him with his coat rent and earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, If thou passest on with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city and say to Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant here from since, so will I now be thy servant. And mayest thou also for me defeat the counsels of Athipoto. That means for me defeat the counsel of Athipoto. Okay, so just be careful here. And hast thou not there with Zadok and Abiathar the priests? Therefore it shall be that what thing soever thou hear out of the king's house, that thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. And behold, they have there with them their 2 sons. David's covert activity here. Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And by them you shall send them unto me everything that they can hear. So Hushi's David's friend. Hushi's David's friend came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. Okay, so we're just going to leave it at that for today. That's all I can handle for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Absalom leaves Hebron to be the 3rd man king. He's going to anoint himself. Now, who's the first? Saul. Who's the second? David. Who's the third? Absalom. And who's going to go over Judah and Jerusalem? I forget his name. It's a long name. But anyways, we'll get to that in the next podcast. I want to thank you very much for watching. Have yourself the greatest day, and bye for now.